What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this motherfucking YouTube shit. Wow, what the fuck?
What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this YouTube shit. Hey man, we are lit that shit, man. Turn. Motherfucking day. You're hooding outside. Big crip in it. Yeah, you're hooding outside shit, man. Free Palestine, free Congo, Russia do your thing, and Texas stand the fuck up. Each day is really be a better version of yourself. Never let somebody bring you down, I'll strike back. Never let somebody tell you are, but also put yourself in a position you don't belong. Stay humble, let's go on a revolution on the movement. Keep Yahweh first. Come to you, a black Hebrew Israelite. As a real Jew, we out here. Alright. Boom. To motherfucking day. You're hooding outside. Big crip in it. Gang, you're hooding outside shit, man. Alright, gang. Turn up. 7-4 Trey shit. We got Nojumper, man. No broker. Looking ass. Man, I don't know how this happened. How ADAM22 done spent all his money on strippers and drugs, gang. ADAM22 just crashed out. Like, the feds done raided his building. They trying to get him up for a RICO. Briccbaby, Luce Cannon, he done sold out. WACK100 manipulating the whole shit, man. WACK100 is one smart ass man. I gotta give it to that. He know how to work the internet, and he know how to work cause he know he been in the streets with the famous people. He know how to work that shit. I ain't gonna cap. He know how to work that shit. Like, a lot of his image, that nigga took out three birds with one stone. Is insane. He took out a whole, like, this shit is wild, man. And ADAM22 thought he broke. But you done sold your whole wife off, and you still broke? Yeah, he broke to the niggas. But his family, they rich as hell. Let's get into this bitch, man. Alright, gang. Who could imagine? Adam done spent all the goddamn money on stripper and drugs, gang. Crazy. Butt plugs, all types of roofies and shit. This nigga done capped out.
So there's something that I've been hiding from you guys. Nojumper is going broke.
Shit.
I know that might sound crazy.
Dildos.
Between both of our YouTube channels last month, we got over 25 million views. We're doing well on Facebook and Snapchat. We employ quite a few of the hottest content creators on the West Coast, and we pump out an insane amount of content on a weekly basis. How could we be going broke? Well, let's start here. We expanded too much during COVID at just about the exact moment that our revenue streams all took a hit. We hired a whole bunch of editors and other employees, and we bought a huge office building that cost us almost $4 million, thinking that the growth that we were experiencing during the pandemic was going to continue. And unfortunately, that did not happen. Our YouTube numbers, which had doubled or even tripled, gradually returned to normal. Our Snapchat and Facebook numbers, which had exploded during COVID, sometimes even hitting 6 figures a month, shrank by about 80% or more. Our Patreon, which was absolutely killing it for a year or two when we were doing uncensored, aka nude interviews with up-and-coming superstars like Zumi and Sky Bree, fell off quite a bit with the launch of Plug Talk and a decreased interest in seeing us interview stars. In addition to that, you might recall that the channel took quite a hit when approximately 8 of our hosts left the platform in March of 2023. Although we've definitely largely recovered and managed to build up a very healthy roster of talent since then, that certainly took a toll on our business for a while as well. All that stuff hurt the business, but we were still solidly profitable. That is, until the last few months, where we experienced 2 major L's that we never could have seen coming. First, we lost the Nojumper Instagram. After almost 10 years of building it up and essentially no strikes on our account, we got taken down one day and we still have absolutely no idea why.
Instagram's
We've had no luck getting it back despite being in contact with what seems like every Instagram recovery guy on the face of the planet. We were bringing in a very solid amount of cash monthly that was keeping us afloat via selling sponsored posts on the account, and that mostly vanished overnight. And while we've been growing the new Nojumper LA account up ever since and managing to sell email sponsored collab posts using my Instagram and the Nojumper LA account. DM or email if interested. We aren't making anywhere near as much from Instagram now.
Nojumper might
if
be
you're
broke
a meta rep,
to giving out these niggas Moneion.
I would
We
love
know
to
you
speak
rich,
to anyone who
bitch.
can help with this. And second, in addition to that, we have been hit with a bullshit lawsuit from a former employee. Now, essentially, everything in this lawsuit is completely fictional, and every lawyer that I've spoken to about it has described this as basically an extortion attempt, but it still cost us a ton of money already, and it's expected to cost us many hundreds of thousands of dollars to see this through to completion.
Nigga.
It's insane to me that a person that we did so much for could just invent some grievances out of thin air and cost us this much money as a result. This person has literally lost every single friend that he used to have when he worked at Nojumper. His streaming career has completely
tanked. He used to be on No Fig.
He got kicked off the podcast that he left Nojumper to start. But somehow, that's our reality, and we have to fight this rather than just give in to this piece of shit. So as a result of all these circumstances, we are making some changes. Over the last few months, we laid off multiple employees in an attempt to reduce our expenses as much as possible. We closed down our store on Melrose, and we're in the early stages of selling our current warehouse and moving into a smaller space. To be honest, aside from the layoffs, I'm pretty happy about a lot of these changes. I've realized that I should have paid more attention to DJ Vlad and kept my overhead as low as possible, particularly in terms of staff and location. I'm confident that once we get the building sold, we'll be in a pretty solid financial position again as a business. Oh, and I also just want to note that I am talking about Nojumper as a business. I've got another business in the form of Plug Talk, and I've got a pretty decent investment portfolio on a personal level. I mean, shit, I'm not $2 million in debt, and I never had to file for bankruptcy like T-Rail. But I honestly spend pretty much all of my time trying to create as much content as possible with Nojumper, and I can't really justify doing so unless the fundamentals of the business make sense. It was a big decision to share this stuff with you guys, but at a certain point I realized that I've been honest with the world about just about everything in my life over the years, and it felt wrong to keep all this stuff that we've been dealing with in secret.
Did you and Briccbaby?
So I know what you're thinking. What can you do to help? Well, I do have some ideas, which I'll sort into 3 categories here.
Have a gangbang together?
Cheap,
all you niggas together, that's it, with no women.
Obviously, I'm infinitely thankful to anyone who watches our content at all, follows us on the @Nojumper LA Instagram, and in particular, those of you who drop likes and comments on our videos and Instagram posts, and all around that stuff is super helpful. Cheap. We are really trying to get serious about embracing our members here on YouTube. For $5 a month, we've got a ton of awesome benefits, including being able to watch all of our interviews free of censorship and bleeped words before they're released to the public. Members only chat for all of our live stream content, and we're just going to be prioritizing a lot of our most requested content and trying to do that live for members only. So for any of you who are down to spend $5 a month to help support the business, we're just going to try to keep adding more and more stuff to make that an easy decision for you guys who are down to support. And for those of you who have more money to spend, we're introducing a mega premium $100 tier to our membership.
Buy you a sandwich and watch Nojumper, bitch.
And it will also get you consistent advice and opinions on your music submissions with one free submission per month and discounted additional songs. Basically, we're just trying to do as much as possible for anybody who's down to join this tier. So we're going to hype you up on our live streams and try to really give you actual professional advice about what we think that you should do with your career and everything like that. And, we're going to try to add even more value for that $100 tier as time goes by. Also, if you own or work for a brand and would like to sponsor the podcast, please reach out to Josh @Nojumper.com. We're also selling collab promotional posts using the Nojumper LA and ADAM22 Instagram accounts.
How did it get like this?
Josh @Nojumper.com.
Fucking up.
Can give you all the
See,
information
that's what happens
about all that.
When you get rid of
there's my update. I've been kind of thinking about telling you guys about all this stuff for a while. I'm not begging for sympathy or anything like that. I'm just being realistic about owning a media business. In this day and age, everybody knows rap is maybe not in the best place that it could possibly be. Podcasts, definitely not at the place that they were in 2021 or 2022, the economy in general really kind of experiencing some troubles. And
that
really,
boy
as
Trump
we put this building on the market, we've kind of
y'all white people think y'all know what y'all doing. Y'all fucking shit up.
Do similar stuff to what we do.
Obama fixed every fucking thing.
Experiencing hardship.
So
we're definitely not alone in all this. We're just trying to get the business back to where it was at a couple years ago and get it to the point where it's consistently profitable, so that we can start just continuing to dump money into hosts and making great content for you guys, everything like that. So if you want to help us out, that would be amazing. Just go to youtube.com/Nojumper. The membership option is right there on the homepage, or we'll have a link down in the description. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Smack a like. We're out.
Shout out to Rap Daily. Nigga said, I seen the last comment. It says selling your wife and still going broke is absolutely insane. Crip, nigga. She got busted open like a watermelon.
But with Nojumper host Luce and Briccbaby now facing life sentences, the spotlight is back on him. As the bodies fall, Adam has had a lot to say, almost as if he saw this coming. His reaction, cold, calculated, and unapologetic. But the internet has been raising accusations against him, whether it's exploiting street drama for clicks or allegedly playing a role in the downfall of some of his own people. Did ADAM22 really just report the news?
I'm glad it's not, though. It rained earlier.
ADAM22 distances Nojumper from RICO charges. The walls are closing in on Nojumper, or so the internet thought. A bombshell RICO indictment has rocked the hip-hop world, placing music executive Big U at the center of a criminal empire allegedly responsible for murder, kidnapping, fraud, extortion.
He done sold out his employees for a couple of bucks and not going to prison to be somebody's pocket pussy.
Fans flooded social media, speculating that the podcast's controversial host, ADAM22,
gonna be somebody's pocket pussy in jail, bitch.
But Adam wasn't about to let the rumors fly without a fight. What made things even worse was the fact that multiple former Nojumper hosts are now facing life behind bars.
Crazy.
The irony was impossible to ignore.
Nigga just self-stitching like a motherfucker.
Street narratives, and now,
like the fans not watching.
His former collaborators were falling like dominoes. Fans
like
began
flies,
asking, was Nojumper just a podcast, or had it unknowingly become a breeding ground for criminals? The questions turned into accusations, and suddenly, ADAM22 found himself defending not just his brand, but his entire legacy. Jumping on Instagram, ADAM22 fired back at the accusations, making it crystal clear that Nojumper had nothing to do with the case. He acknowledged working
with his white ass, he good, huh?
Individuals named in the indictment over the last 2 years, but he refused to let anyone pin their alleged crimes on his brand.
I see a lot of people saying that 22 is the reason why Brick got caught up.
No, sorry.
Out of here. 22.
Nigga can't take responsibility for shit.
Out that the alleged crimes took place long before Briccbaby became a Nojumper affiliate.
Brick ready to crash out on that motherfucker.
That he's done in the last 2 years since he's been with us, right?
While he didn't deny that Briccbaby could be
Brick ready to crash out. Goofy ass.
Clear that Nojumper was not part of it.
I do employ people from the streets. And I guess, people from the streets sometimes get caught up in federal RICO and whatever this is. And
despite the heavy allegations,
don't take a rocket science to notice that.
To his former co-hosts.
I got love for Luce too. We're gonna be documenting this whole thing, helping them along the way.
Man, you said you didn't fuck with Luce in the beginning.
Nojumper was not the cause.
Now you fuck with him.
Anybody acting like this is because of Nojumper? No, Nojumper was the antidote.
With Briccbaby and Luce Cannon now in federal custody, and former Nojumper hosts serving life sentences. The internet continues to dissect the indictment, but ADAM22 was firm in his stance. His platform may have been associated with
ADAM22 ain't taking none of the credit, bitch.
For their fate. Adam continued addressing the arrest on his podcast.
Him getting his wife fucking taking all that credit.
It's not my fault. I just want to say that I was just as astounded as many of you to see this news come down. It feels like the cops want to be part of the narrative of the podcast last night. They saw how good it was doing, and they were like, we got to swoop in here. So I just want to say, free Briccbaby, free Luce.
Adam revealed that he had spent the last 2 years building up Briccbaby's reputation through the Nojumper platform. We spent the last 2 years making people love it, Adam lamented. The podcast was reaching a climax. We had like 4 or 5 interviews in a row that had 100K plus views. He admitted that there had been rumors.
See, look how much money they made off him. Giving Briccbaby $2,000 a month to crash out for the rest of his life. It's insane.
Brick got his house raided about 2 years ago. They allegedly found an AK. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's what WACK was always saying. And when that charge never got filed, WACK's argument was, you must be a snitch because It never got filed.
However, Adam also hinted that they kind of expected a RICO charge, which was a bit shocking.
But then the other theory that we all heard in the background was like, oh, well, what if it's going to get wrapped up into a federal indictment? Because then it would make sense that the cops would like pass on it for a couple years.
Meanwhile, in another subsequent episode of Nojumper, Adam faced further questions from DJ Academics, DJ Vlad, Trap Lore, and WACK100. Academics pressed Adam on whether he would.
Well, they had a whole podcast talking about is Adam scared of
in a federal indictment. If I saw my name in an indictment, I would be like, all right, certain conversations are off limits, Academics stated. Adam pushed back, claiming that he never encouraged Briccbaby or Luce to incriminate themselves on camera.
Almost every time I've been on camera with Brick is live. And number two is I've never instructed him
Harry Potter looking
talk about
ass,
certain situations. Like him and Luce, people like that, they get on camera and they start kind of like one-upping each other, and there's stuff they want to say and they don't really have the control to not say it.
Academics remain skeptical, suggesting that as a platform owner, Adam should be more cautious. If I see my name in an indictment and it says that conversations facilitated on my platform are corroborating these crimes, I'm going to steer future conversations away from that, Academics argued. The conversation took a tense turn when Academics suggested that Luce Cannon believed Adam had snitched on him.
I talked to him last night.
He thinks you lined him up. I ain't gonna say too much.
Adam lined him up.
I talked to him last night.
I'm telling y'all niggas, all the business. They lined. Of course, he got lined up by Adam.
First question he asked me, how'd last night's episode do? Could I ask? Still counting views from behind the wall.
Adam said, shaking his head. Meanwhile, over on Reddit, fans of Nojumper found humor in the chaos, launching a thread titled "Dear Feds," where they jokingly suggest swapping Adam for Briccbaby.
Look at us!
We will trade Adam.
Free the whole jail cell for Adam. Looking ass.
Fair trade. Another user quips, "Give back Briccbaby, take Dijon."
Damn.
Quickly turns into a full-on roast session.
Let Lena get his wife piped out by every jail cell inmate and the guards.
They argue deserves freedom.
You know what I'm saying? We'll trade that for all them niggas. Come on, man.
It's far from over. ADAM22
Facts, nigga.
to defend his platform.
Give your wife for the Briccbaby and Luce, bitch, and the rest of the jail.
Is Nojumper simply a media outlet that happens to feature guests with criminal ties, or has it inadvertently contributed to the downfall of some of its hosts? For now, Adam remains defiant, standing by his claim that Nojumper is not responsible for anyone's legal troubles, while his former co-hosts face serious charges.
Adam think this shit sweet, bitch.
Luce, Brick, and Big U.
Of course the feds
March
watching.
17th morning in Los Angeles when the walls finally closed in on Big U and his inner circle. The United States District Court for the Central District of California dropped a legal bomb. 107 pages of allegations, wiretap transcripts, and years of evidence piecing together a criminal enterprise that operated in the shadows of LA's underworld. This isn't just any indictment. It is a takedown of what federal prosecutors call the Big U enterprise, a violent, organized network that thrived on power, intimidation, and illegal profits. At the center of it all stands three men: Eugene Big U Henley, the alleged mastermind behind the operation.
That boy Luce didn't give a fuck at all.
A feared enforcer accused of carrying out violent robberies, and Zahir Briccbaby Mitchell, a key player whose indictment remains sealed, leaving everyone guessing what
crashing up for the culture and the white man is the same.
For a series of high-profile arrests, one thing was certain: this wasn't just about taking down a gang. This was about dismantling a criminal empire. For decades, Eugene Henley Jr., better known as Big U, was a towering figure in Los Angeles. At 55, his reputation stretched far beyond the streets. Once a feared enforcer for the rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, he had morphed into a businessman, a so-called community leader, and a behind-the-scenes power broker. But the feds saw him differently. According to the RICO, racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations, conspiracy charges filed against him. Big U isn't just a former gangster. He is the boss of a mafia-like enterprise, a group that allegedly engaged in murder, robbery, extortion, prostitution, fraud, and tax evasion, all for power and profit. Federal agents paint a chilling picture of a man who still rules through fear, using his past as a street legend to intimidate, manipulate, and control those around him. The wiretaps
Big U was out there putting a strong arm on them niggas.
Allegedly bragged about sending an enforcer to Minnesota to collect hundreds of thousands.
That nigga making sure he get all the way.
He was recorded threatening a business owner, warning that he would kill him over a payment dispute. Then there are the chilling accounts of him and his crew chasing down a rival, guns drawn, as the man begged for his life. But Henley's empire wasn't just built on violence. The feds claimed he had turned his nonprofit, Developing Options, into a money laundering front, scamming donors and government programs meant to help at-risk youth. instead of using funds for the community. Henley allegedly redirected the money into his own pockets. At one point, even instructing his wife to
about the
use the
football team. Who
nonprofit's credit
knows?
card to buy air conditioning units for their home before canceling the order and pocketing the refund. And then came the obstruction of justice allegations. Federal agents have recordings of Big U allegedly coaching a witness, JS, to take the fall for a former NFL player's crimes. In a desperate attempt to keep his enterprise safe, Henley allegedly arranged a meeting with the victim's father, promising a solution that would protect the interests of the organization. The feds were listening the whole time. By the time they filed their case, they wanted everything. His home on 62nd Street,
Roscoe's and chicken, you know about PNB Rock, crazy ass shit, man.
And his nonprofit's offices. The evidence is overwhelming. And now, the once untouchable Big U is facing decades behind bars. If Big U is the brains, Tremaine Luce Cannon Williams is the muscle. At 38, he isn't just another soldier.
Luce Cannon was the motherfucking crash out dummy.
A man accused of carrying out armed robberies to keep the organization's cash flow strong. His charge, interference with commerce.
That nigga was the crash out dummy. He didn't give no fucks. As long as he got some clout from Moneion.
To interstate commerce, making it a perfect weapon for prosecutors. One case in particular stands out. According to the indictment, Luce Cannon and his crew stormed into a marijuana dispensary at gunpoint, forcing employees.
But it's crazy. They had the video all on online and shit.
Say that wasn't enough for him. Wiretaps captured him bragging about other heists, discussing future targets, and openly talking about
Meek Mill, Rick Ross.
Surveillance footage links him to the scene. Cell phone records places him nearby, and witnesses, they are ready to.
They were trying to say that Big U and Luce Cannon was in the down Roscoe's and chicken when PNB Rock got hit up.
It paints a picture of a man
Crazy.
who loved the chaos. He wasn't just committing crimes because he had to. He was doing it because he wanted to. Now, with the full weight of federal prosecutors coming down on him, his days of running wild are numbered. Unlike his co-defendants, Zahir Briccbaby Mitchell's case remains sealed. His name appears in the wiretap orders alongside Henley and Williams, meaning the feds have been listening to his conversations, but his specific charges are kept under wraps. The only clue? A cryptic footnote on page 11.
They were trying to say he's a federal informant.
Mentioning that Mitchell is indicted under a separate case number 225, CR 00132, away from the public eye. So what do the feds have on him? Speculations have run wild. Some believe he was involved in the extortion and money laundering schemes that ran through developing options. Others believe he played a role in the prostitution and human trafficking operations that the feds hinted at in the RICO charges. And then there are whispers that his sealed indictment contained even bigger allegations, ones that could shake the case to its core. Until that document was unsealed, Briccbaby remained a mystery, a shadow figure in a case where every other player's role was laid out in brutal detail. For years, the Big U enterprise had operated in the background of Los Angeles' criminal underworld, not just as a gang, but as a full-fledged criminal business, stretching from drug trafficking and extortion to financial fraud and prostitution. The feds had spent years gathering evidence.
It's crazy, man. This nigga he said he's from Chicago, Atlanta, and LA doing all this goofy ass shit.
2025, it all came crashing down. Arrest warrants were issued for Henley, Williams, and others, including Sylvester V. Robinson, Mark Bearclaw Martin, Armani Affleji, Frederick Blanton Jr., and Tiffany Hines. Search warrants were executed at their homes, businesses, and even developing options office on Crenshaw Boulevard, looking for the financial records, weapons, and communication logs that would put the final nail in the coffin. The charges are devastating. Big U faced RICO, fraud, tax evasion, extortion, and obstruction of justice. Charges that could keep him locked up for the rest of his life. Luce Cannon is looking at a long federal sentence for armed robbery and other violent crimes. Briccbaby, his fate remains sealed, but everyone knows it isn't good. As news of the indictment spreads, one question looms over LA's streets. Is this the end of Big U's empire, or is there more to come? With the weight of the federal government against them, the answer seems clear. The Big U enterprise is crumbling, and its kingpin isn't walking away this time. Meanwhile, before turning himself in, Big U explained that the charges are all lies before blaming WACK100 for betraying him and knowing more than he lets on.
He can do it at this point. Pray to God he get out the pokey, man. Nigga facing life. He only be 55. He facing life.
He's been in the game too long for that. But as the walls closed in and the feds tightened their grip, he decided to throw one last curveball before turning himself in. In a bombshell revelation, he exposed who he believed had been pulling the strings from the shadows, feeding the feds intel that led to his indictment, and at the center of it all, WACK100.
That boy WACK100, man.
Before turning himself
man, WACK100 is a setup artist. Like, if he want your ass gone, nigga, WACK100, he know how to get people gone. That's insane.
His allegations.
Big U and him used to be best friends.
Further fueling speculation.
Do interviews together.
And their legal troubles as well.
Wack said 100 times he was gonna take my contracts. He working with the FBI. The FBI went to the city 3 days in a row and told the city they didn't want nobody to give me no more money. They went to all the different celebrities and told all the
But they
different
used to be best friends. That's the crazy part.
Nothing for me.
According to Big U, WACK has been influencing city officials and celebrities, warning them not to associate with him or support his community efforts. But that wasn't the only bombshell. Big U also revealed that when the feds raided his properties, they were asking about WACK100. That raises a serious question. If WACK was really the informant, why would the feds be asking about it? Or was it just a tactic to throw Big U off? Big U didn't just put WACK on blast. He also accused Luce Cannon and 600 of playing a role in his downfall.
But we really got no proof that he worked for the FBI.
Was actually with the police when they raided my house.
That's crazy. He got rid of Luce Cannon and 600 is magically up here now. Insane, man. It's cold. It's a cold world, man.
That's a heavy accusation.
Cold
A
business.
well-connected street figure allegedly standing alongside law enforcement while one of the most powerful names in LA got taken down. That's not a good look. And then there's Luce Cannon. Big U made it clear that
y'all know Luce Cannon got a twin.
Cannon's name is still tangled in the indictment. Was he another pawn in the game, or did he have a bigger role in the case against Big U? The deeper you dig, the messier it gets. Big U believes the feds are pulling strings behind the scenes, using old associates and street connections to paint him as the mastermind of a criminal empire. But whether those same associates willingly cooperated or were manipulated into it remains a major question. One of the biggest pieces of the puzzle is Big U's nonprofit organization, Development.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to say, but they say put it in the football
program aimed at helping at-risk youth, but the feds are now calling it something else, a front for criminal activity.
For a Ponzi scheme?
Pushed back against that claim, insisting that the money he made from development options was legitimate.
I'm disheartened by the fact that they're trying to say that I stole something from development option, or I used development option for some front. Development option paid my bills. They paid my house note. They paid the bills for my family, the money I made from as an employee for development option.
The feds also brought up PPP loans, but Big U was
them PPP loans.
taking out 2 loans.
They was getting them M&Ms.
Was done legally.
They were getting 10 million, 50 million, 100 million.
2 loans.
I couldn't get PPP
Just
loans.
like everybody else did. I didn't use no fraud. I didn't get none of fake names. And one of them was paying back and one they forgave.
Despite his claims of innocence, authorities are using development options as a key part of their case.
I couldn't get no PPP loan.
WACK100 played a role in trying to tear it down.
WACK said he was going to destroy development option, right? So who going to replace development option? Which one of you in the 60s going to call yourself coming in? Because whoever trying to come in, y'all the ones that's working with WACK.
Big U's accusations against WACK100 have sent ripples through the hip-hop and street communities. But the question remains, did WACK really betray Big U, Luce, and Brick? From Big U's perspective, WACK100 has been working against him for years. Whether it was sabotaging business deals, spreading damaging rumors online, or even cooperating with the feds,
Big U no more.
WACK has been out to get him. The allegations extend beyond Big U, Luce Cannon, and Brick's names have also been caught up in the mix, leading many to wonder if WACK was involved in their downfalls too. But here's where things get tricky. WACK100 has built a reputation as someone who stirs up controversy and thrives off drama. But does that automatically make him a snitch? His loudmouth persona has definitely put him at odds.
They got a little bit of work, but
there's
like,
no concrete proof.
It's no concrete proof.
However, the streets don't always wait for paperwork. In a world where perception is everything, Big U's words carry weight. And if enough people believe WACK100 played a role in bringing them down,
but I think WACK100, he moved
even if there's no official
too
proof.
smart. You know what I'm saying? Like,
went viral. WACK100
he know too many people.
He's Clubhouse on March 20th, just one day after Big U turned himself in. WACK went on a heated rant, completely denying that he had anything to do with the federal case. They ain't got nothing to do with WACK, he said, scoffing at the idea that he had snitched on Big U. He also rejected claims that he had been circulating any legal documents related to Big U's case. It seems to me like I've been threatening the paperwork. WACK ain't said nothing, he added. Big U also accused WACK of knowing ahead of time that federal authorities were planning to raid his homes and properties. But WACK laughed at the suggestion, saying that it was obvious law enforcement had been watching Big U and his associates for a long time. What you mean? How did they know? How did they know? WACK mocked. How did they know they was gonna raid my house? Oh, you a goofy. How the fuck you didn't know? Despite his fiery defense, some people in the streets aren't convinced. While there's no concrete proof that WACK cooperated with the feds, his history of stirring up drama and exposing
WACK got them knuckleheads out the paint. You know he ain't like Briccbaby.
Despite WACK,
Luce Cannon tried to expose WACK at the end.
Has many people in the streets.
Boy, Big U, boy, he killed 3 birds with 1 stone, bitch.
casually admitted that he warned Big U's wife about the incoming RICO indictment. That admission immediately set off alarms. How did WACK100 know a federal case was coming before it happened? On March 19, 2025, during a live stream on Nojumper, WACK100 received a phone call from one of the hosts. During the conversation, the host referenced a court document that had surfaced detailing parts of Big U's alleged criminal activities. But what really caught people's attention was the mention of a specific text message, one that WACK himself had sent to Big U's wife. According to the document, WACK messaged Big U's wife urgently, saying, "Sis, 911, he needs to leave. Bad. He needs to leave." When asked about this on the live stream, WACK100 admitted to sending the warning, but played it off like he was just looking out for a friend. However, this only raised more eyebrows.
You hit up Big U's wife. You said, "Sis, 911. One sec, let me get Solo." And you gave him a heads up. What I tell him? You said, "One sec, let me get Solo. He needs to leave. Bad." In caps, all caps. He needs to leave. I said so bad, right? Yeah.
Why did WACK100 have such detailed knowledge of the indictment before it happened? How did he know that a federal case was coming down on Big U and his associates? And if he truly was trying to protect Big U, why did he only warn his wife instead of Big U himself? These are the questions that had the internet buzzing. Many people on X, formerly Twitter, weren't buying WACK's explanation, with users commenting, "How WACK got all this federal information, though? You know how many telling and everything he gotta be with those people. WACK is the feds who's playing both sides. Bro doesn't want to offend his... so he gives a warning after he snitches. This is all a comedy movie. WACK is next to go down." The reactions weren't just speculation. They reflected a long-standing suspicion that WACK100 has deep ties to law enforcement. For
We
years,
just don't fucking know, man.
reputation as someone who always seems to know the inside scoop before
He
anyone else,
does.
whether it's industry drama, legal cases, or street business.
He
WACK
be
is
knowing all the
repeatedly put out
paperwork, they be
information
still,
that
he know
others
him.
didn't
I'm
even
like,
know existed.
damn.
That's why this situation feels so familiar. People are connecting the dots. He knew Big U's indictment was coming before the news.
The lady
He had
called him,
inside
but he
knowledge
was,
of who
man,
was
this shit
allegedly
wild.
cooperating. He went out of his way to warn Big U's wife, but never spoke directly to Big U. Some are arguing that WACK100 isn't necessarily a federal informant, but rather someone who has close ties to the feds,
That's what I'm
which
thinking,
allows
but
him to
you
gain
never know,
access
man.
to sensitive information.
Sure.
Others believe he's simply reckless with his mouth and doesn't realize the consequences of the things he says publicly. Regardless of the explanation, one
But
thing
WACK
is
too
certain,
damn
his
smart,
involvement in
though.
this situation is far from innocent.
He
Did
technical.
WACK100 really betray Big U, Luce Cannon, and Brick? Right now,
He
it
killed
all
3
depends
birds
on
with
who
one
you
stone,
believe. Big U
bitch.
is adamant that WACK worked with the feds to take him down, while WACK hasn't publicly responded in a way that
All
clears his
3 of them
name.
niggas
What's
was his
clear is
ops.
that this situation is bigger than just a street beef. Big U is facing the fight of his life, and whether
Briccbaby
WACK100
goofy
played a
ass
direct role or
bellboy.
not, the reality
That
is that
nigga
the
such a
system is
goofy.
closing in, and in that kind of environment, trust is
And
the
they
first
still
thing to
call it,
overcome. One thing's for sure,
they still
this
calling
isn't
from
over.
jail.
The streets are watching, and as more details unfold, we'll see if WACK100 really crossed the line, or if Big U is just looking for someone to blame. Either way, the fallout from this will be felt for years to come. For more content like this, click on the videos showing on your screen now.
Starting a 6-figure business my first year was in.
Hey, shout out to Lou Aster, man. Let's get into it, man.
Sooner or later, either the mask is going to slip, or you'll have to confess that what you're presenting to the public and the reality of your situation are 2 entirely different things. Especially when you've burned your reputation in the same industry you once profited from, off what was known as the coolest podcast in the world. Because now, ADAM22 is on the cusp of losing it all.
Expose these motherfuckers,
Nojumper is
man.
going broke. I know that might sound crazy. Between both of our YouTube channels last month, we got over 25 million views. We're doing well on
That sound
Facebook and
reasonable.
Snapchat. We employ quite a few of the hottest content creators on the West Coast, and we pump out an insane amount of content on a weekly basis. How could we be going broke? Well, let's start here.
It's your boy Luce, and this is why ADAM22's downfall should be studied. These days,
That's
ADAM22 has got himself in some pretty murky waters. As the news of the Big U federal RICO indictment broke, which took Adam's regular co-host Briccbaby and recurring guest Luce Cannon down with him, people like Rory and Maul suspected he could be in trouble.
Adam, be careful, because if you think the feds ever need logic in a RICO case, as far as money being funneled and what that money went to, even though you didn't even know where the money was going, don't act like you can't get brought up in this shit either. I don't think Adam did anything. But do you think the feds care? You think they play by the same rules we play by? You can find any wired money, and that money that was wired there was used to do something that was sent to somebody. You get caught up in this in a heartbeat.
And soon, the news was broke by WACK100 on Adam's own platform that the feds had come knocking at his door.
What's up, man? I just called my attorney to try to get him down there so Adam don't be doing no telling, bro. Man, they say Adam locked up.
I'm telling you, he telling like diarrhea, bitch.
They double back.
Now she's a clapping together. That's his lips. Like diarrhea, bitch.
Right?
Yeah, he's supposed to go live.
Telling.
And the crazy thing is, Adam texted me.
They gonna have him out by like 30.
That nigga is telling. That white boy telling.
And while he wasn't exactly sure what the exact issue was, they were in town getting some kind of information from him.
They own him about something,
some
bro.
shit.
I don't know what they own him about, but they own him about something. And I don't know if they were trying to get something out of him, but I'm pretty sure come 4 o'clock, he's gonna be here. My attorney assured me they're gonna definitely have him at 2:30 at the latest. So he'll be here at 4 o'clock. I'm pretty sure he's gonna have a lot to say.
Now that Adam's on the feds' radar, a lot of people see this as the consequences finally catching up to him. After all, people have been calling him out for years for speaking on street issues when his own life was far from it. It's even led to wild face-offs with people like King Yella.
But you want to know what I'm talking about his kids or his wife?
I've really been getting my life together trying to change. But it's like, it's just playing with me. And I think you can't get your ass beat or something.
That's a fact.
No, anything's possible.
Yeah.
True.
If I come to your shit and a motherfucker play with me, gang, God forbid. For them. You better be prepared. I'm prepared to die right now. It's you.
I'm probably more prepared than you.
Not to mention how chaotic things got with Ruga when he felt he was taking Chicago's name in vain.
I'm not a boxer.
Now his racistness coming out.
Now you're going to play the race card.
talking about cavemen? You racist, man.
I'm describing your brain.
You weird.
Not your race.
You weird.
I'm going to ask you to leave.
Come on.
Sure.
I'm going to get up out of here. Don't touch me, though.
But behave like a grown-up, Ruga.
Come on.
Get the out.
Touch you?
Get out of here.
You scared.
That's exactly why no one's rushing to save him. With all the damage he's done to his reputation, it's no surprise that the only ones backing Nojumper now are the ones still getting paid from associating with them. Because let's be real, Adam and his content are nothing like the BMX kid he started out as. And when you reflect back on his moves, it's clear that he has no one to blame but himself. A channel which was birthed from his previous experience with his BMX brand on the come-up, Nojumper's initial run gave us some in-depth interviews with up-and-coming stars. From XXXTentacion to Juice WRLD, many young talents came onto the platform to introduce themselves to the world, while the likes of Tay-K, Lil Xan, and even the late great Lil Peep all had music videos hosted on the channel. Notably, many of these videos still remain the highest viewed content on the platform, even 9 or 10 years after they dropped. As a kid from New Hampshire, Adam was pretty much a novice in the world of hip-hop, which means that he got finessed at times. At one stage, Dame Dash made him pay for his haircut in return for an interview.
I paid Dame Dash for this interview. I paid $500. It was weird. The Connect is like, is this a paid interview? And my publicist asked me, she's like, what am I supposed to say when people ask that? And I said, say no. Say it's not paid. And so she said that, and then they come back to her and they say, we're going to need $500 for his haircut and his driver. We thought this was hilarious because, like, his haircut, like, he literally does not have a hair on his head. It's not a diss or anything. I'm sure there would be some hair on his head, but, he rocks a baldy. Like, Dame Dash shaves his head. That sounds like a pretty expensive haircut.
Then again, Adam always claimed that landing big names in the culture was worth the cost. However, while his content initially centered around the hottest rappers coming up, the problems for Adam and his reputation were about to begin with some notorious episodes on the show, where it seemed like he was maybe exploiting situations for views. In one of the most chaotic clips to ever emerge from the channel, Boom Gang appeared on the show completely trashed out of his mind, and was clearly in no shape to appear on camera. And to Adam's credit, he did actively try and get them to postpone the interview.
You can leave the black and mild on the ground. It's okay, bro. It's okay, bro.
Shout out to the homie Boonk.
Oh my God, bro.
Insane. He about to have a drug overdose.
Oh, yeah. You can take a picture right here. Maybe this will be the thumbnail.
Get a picture.
But that's supposed to be that clone, dude.
Appreciate you, Boonk. Take care, bro.
But at the same time, the 5 million views that the video pulled in felt like a turning point, where drama wasn't just something that happened on Nojumper, but it was almost as if they were leaning into it. Whether that was interviewing OnlyFans models, bringing pimps and gang members onto the platform, or attempting to gas up beef between other rappers. At times, this strategy backfired, Like when he tried asking Trippie Redd about his beef with Tekashi 6ix9ine.
What? I'm at like 850K, bro. You could get me that million. Come on, just boom. Just say, hey, 1400 gang, follow this idiot. Boom. I got $1 million. And then I'll owe you.
So
I'll be your assistant.
Guess what?
Assist these nuts. Whoa!
I feel like at a certain point it's almost like too much.
That's fucked up.
As the street-focused content grew,
I didn't know
and
that.
Adam started being seen more as an instigator, the narrative shifted. He
got the
went from a
golden
respected promoter of new music to just another culture vulture. Although he always denied it, even saying that Dame Dash didn't call him a vulture, but that he was just a racist.
I didn't see that shit before.
Big Dame call you racist? I mean, there's a bunch of them, but like one that stands out. One part for him is that he feels like I'm white, so I should be more interested in white culture musically, and that it's cool that I'm starting to black culture. He's like, why do you always want to talk about rap shit, black culture? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really think you'd be that interested in Mumford and Sons. And he just, you're racist. I went to a Mumford and Sons show. Like, I was like, okay, fine. I thought you wouldn't like Mumford and Sons. My apologies.
I've never even heard of Mumford.
Now, I'm not sure if that was the flex he thought it was. Either way, it wasn't enough to convince some people, particularly when his content isn't solely about the music anymore. And as the company has expanded, things only got messier, bringing us to the now, where people are actually enjoying watching it all fall apart. Thanks to early cosigns from rappers who were actually tapped into the culture, Adam was originally given the benefit of the doubt. Just like Academics caught heat for his War in Chirac series, where he built his brand by clowning real-life violence, Adam faced similar backlash when his channel began shifting from talking about music to street drama, with people accusing him of profiting off pain he had no part in. And when he popped up on other platforms, he was hit with some harsh reality checks.
I find it somewhat disturbing that somebody that is outside of what these boys endure on a day-to-day basis, interviewing them and monetizing it for your own personal gain when these kids are dying.
Yeah.
This is them and their families' trauma that you guys are monetizing to turn a profit, and you're calling it journalism. That's not fucking journalism. So in them doing this, they're coming on your platform because your platform is huge. So do you agree that them coming on your platform, you said it already, that it has a benefit for them as well as you? Of course. So do you also think that you are monetizing this black beef trauma shit that these boys are going through?
I mean, incidentally, yes, I am monetizing it because when we make content on YouTube, it's monetized by default. But that being said, this is content that the people clearly wanted to see.
So that's your rule. If people want to see it, I'm putting it out. It don't matter about your behavior and your train of thought isn't aligned with the well-being of these people. You just listening to songs. You don't really give a fuck about any of these people. FBG Cash reacts to FBG Duck's mom. Like, you putting moms in this shit.
Dissed him. We delved into who this kid is as a person, what he grew up and what he endured in growing up. Y'all don't give a y'all care about what the people are gonna go to immediately.
They're gaining from it as well.
No, they're not.
Looking back at some of the comments on this video, people actually gave Adam a little bit of grace back then, as they felt that he definitely at least earned his spot in hip-hop by putting on for underground artists early on. But that perception faded a long time ago, especially after he hired a whole crew of people only to use them and toss them aside when it suited him. And to be fair, during the early run of his career, Nojumper was pulling in serious money.
What is the whole brand make in a month or in a year?
Nojumper might bring in $1 million a month.
Wow. $1 million a month?
Not quite as much, but in the ballpark arena of that. A big part of it's Patreon. You know, we have a Patreon that does 6 figures a month. We're making a couple $100,000 a month on Facebook.
After an explosion of views in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, Adam and Nojumper began to branch out and started hiring various hosts while expanding their repertoire of shows. That said, it was no surprise that some of them flopped almost immediately. For example, there was the flat-out terrible ideas, like having the infamous OnlyFans model Selena Powell have an entire show dedicated to her on the channel. As expected, it was short-lived. Others like Lil House Phone, AD, T-Rel, Sharp, and Lush became regulars and helped carry the platform for a while. The status quo remained in place for a pretty decent amount of time, with the content they generated beginning to garner its own fans. But when this all blew up around them, Nojumper was lucky to have survived 2023 with all the infighting and allegations of a toxic work environment that arose. Things really started to spiral when a trans guest on the show appeared to outlaw House Phone for having relations with them.
Never mind. Come on, let's hear the impression. No, I was going to impersonate someone that I shouldn't have. Oh, come on. You've already sold out entire life here. Yeah, well.
Did I look down upon to expose?
Well, yeah, well.
Bruh, y'all can leave clip that bitch.
Somebody may have been
everybody can see that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I signed NDAs.
He mad because he fucked Lena before. He mad because Lil House Phone fucked Lena before he could.
He fucking made me. Fuck him.
Taking that BBC.
I feel like in general that's kind of a thing.
You pay for discretion in this world, okay? All right. I am a very, very honest person, and I'm well-known, veteran, okay?
I have a feeling that this will soon be about him.
Oh,
I'm going to be hearing a lot about this.
And people, this was sledge. Tell them to fucking take it up with me. I don't give a fuck.
I would like to say the same, but it seems like I'm worried about people calling me a bad friend for just not editing this and putting it out. They're going to be mad at me, but I'm just...
And this wasn't the first time Adam crossed the line. He already caught backlash for mocking the abuse that House Phone's mom went through at the hands of another man.
He beat the shit out of my mom one time, and I saw it with my own eyes, and he literally almost killed her. My uncle was the one who sent it to him.
Oh, now you're going to have another weird phone call.
Didn't you think about paying for the funeral?
Actually, your uncle's going to be like, you know this guy in Little House Phone for Nojumper?
That's
my nephew.
That is your son.
And I ain't seen him since he was 4. Yeah, and I beat the bitch up, and it was what it was.
Hey, relax, bro. Hey, not for real.
See? It's sensitive. My bad.
Out of pocket, bro.
I wanted to figure out...
Despite this flagrant disrespect, they carried on, with House Phone simply asking for the line about the trans situation to be removed from the episode of the podcast that Adam then hosted with Danny Mullen.
But you saw the text message. You saw how strongly worded I was urging the fucking editors to make sure that it was taken out. Like,
House Phone was good with that first, but then everybody started blowing his ass up.
Bro, your lack of you didn't even sound like you was even listening to me when I called you on the phone. Your tone was just, I don't give a I knew that I was wasting my breath by even asking you to edit it, or
how are you wasting your breath when you saw the text messages
not to put it out. I asked you not to put it out.
You asked me to edit it out.
I asked you not to put it out. The first thing that I said was, can you not put it out? But I knew as soon as that came out of my mouth that I was wasting my breath, because I know you, and I know you're not gonna, the way that you view shit is like, I'm not gonna throw away this content. Oh, I filmed this thing, so I'm not gonna not put it out.
When Adam ignored that request, it sparked a heated confrontation with House Phone. And things exploded when Adam brought up the death of the same woman he'd previously mocked for being a victim of abuse.
It don't matter about what the
you tried to do, Adam. It's about what happened, bro.
And then let's move forward to that bullshit ass apology you gave when you're on the fucking news. You're talking about, he's been going through the mom shit. He's been going through the health shit. You talking about the person that fucking raised me?
Are you actually acting like I have some kind of disrespect for your mom when
you're disrespectful as I paid for the fucking funeral
as soon as it happened just because.
Damn.
In the aftermath, the sentiment surrounding Adam seemed to change in an irreversible way. Specifically because not only would he not take accountability, but that he threw something so personal in someone's face, who was allegedly a close friend in the full view of the world. The fact that this conversation was used as content says a ton. The friendship was doomed to fail. But it wasn't just the fans that were horrified, because from there on out, it felt like nothing was ever the same at Nojumper again, and that T-Rel and AD got a real wake-up call. All the while, Adam continued to dig his heels in and make things worse.
I was like, God damn, Adam, shut the I was like, because I was like, you're so argumentative.
I already rebutted this crazy opinion.
But I am too. I am the same way.
T-Rel, by the end
of the podcast, he fully admitted and
apologized for saying shit that wasn't true. So I don't know how you think that I'm going to sit here and have somebody say shit to me that is demonstrably not true and not respond to it.
Man, you said to be read,
right after each
water on your head.
You putting out this argument that we already resolved is unnecessary, because me and him already had that conversation and he already acknowledged. acting like it was a different thing.
Let me finish my fucking sentence. It was going nice. It was gonna go the nice route.
It's a podcast.
But look, it is. But bad podcasts, you always say, let us speak. Let the person speak and let them get that off.
Right, but that doesn't mean like, here, get off a 20-minute rant.
Well,
say a bunch of shit that is completely You still hear I heard him out and I responded. This is my podcast, and I'm willing to hear out other people's opinions, but if your opinion is that I should have sat there and took that, get the out of here. It's not happening.
It's my podcast. Now you're going, it's my podcast.
It's
my podcast.
That's what people do.
That is kind of the
They take all your money out.
Would have been more receptive to
Controversial, make all the money off of black people, then say it's mine.
I mean, I think everybody would have been.
As if that wasn't enough of a reason for them to want to flee, he was then seen looking gleeful when he was referred to as Master by Destiny, a streamer who he collaborated with despite his numerous racist rants over the years.
I had to look up like 30 things, so I thought you were inviting me to f*** you.
Oh,
I thought it was black.
No, well, yeah, that too also. Well, because I already said Adam does hip-hop, so I didn't know you were just the slave owner and not the...
When you get around white people, you see his true attitude towards them.
Okay.
I like how
you don't imagine what he be saying against with Lena.
And of course, much of that original crew left soon after.
Today, we put in our resignation papers today, man. Yeah, man, we left the fort, man. No more AD at Nojumper. No more T-Rail at Nojumper. No more Duno at Nojumper. No more Smack at Nojumper. We gone, man. Me personally, I feel amazing, man. I gotta salute my brother T-Rail, bro. That man, he's loyal to the soil.
Shit.
Yeah, more people need to be like him. Stand up. He said, man, if my homie ain't in this shit, I ain't doing this shit either, man. I feel like, man, as minorities, black and brown, bro, we showing that we can stick together. That's a big ass movement right there. You know what I'm saying?
With his empire now under more scrutiny than ever, Adam had to build from the ground up again. And almost immediately, he claimed he learned an important lesson from it. And sure enough, he rebuilt the team.
All right, tell me what you've learned from all of this.
You know, I feel much more equipped to build something, like to build a cast of characters and everything. It sucks that I wasn't able to, do it with these guys, but sometimes with me moving so fast and doing so many fucking interviews and everything, it's just, I didn't have enough of my eye on the ball to realize what I had in that moment. I can't fully blame myself because that was such a new thing to me. I think I realized that I'm not, desperately trying to grow this thing. I want to do something solid and consistent that I'm happy with. And, I don't necessarily feel like we need to have 5 live shows a week or whatever. I feel like at this point, I'm perfectly happy to, slow it down a little bit.
The only problem was that the channel basically seemed like it thrived off drama, controversy, and cheap stunts from there on out. Instead of going back to the insightful interviews with rising rappers that built the channel, he doubled down on street content, clearly enjoying it when fights between people like Suspect and Kelpie went viral.
Boy, f*** out of here. Who are you?
I'm Lil
Who
Kelpie.
are you? No one knows.
Kelpie the motherfucking
Kelpie the
pimp.
clown.
You ain't gotta know who I am, bro.
Out of here.
Ben Franklin knows who I am.
Out of here.
He knows who the
Kelpie
fuck I am.
the
You
rodeo
said
clown.
what every day? I said
You
Ben
said-
Franklin knows who the fuck I am, bitch.
Who you calling a bitch, though?
I'm calling you a bitch.
Oh!
I was in here chilling. Call me no bitch.
But if he was accused of being a culture vulture beforehand, another terrible decision which only served to destroy him was when he decided to conduct an interview with
That's
Blogstar.
crazy.
For those who don't know, this is the man who was literally sent to jail for killing Pop Smoke.
Because a lot of people were saying it was a robbery gone wrong. No one was intended to get hurt that night.
Nobody's intended to get hurt.
Especially
I don't feel like the drugs was part of the situation. I just feel like, I don't know, we was just kids, being kids from the hood, and too much movement.
a movement from Pop Smoke.
Movement from everybody
In the house.
Too much shit going on. It was too much shit going on. It wasn't intentional. I'm not sorry about nothing. It should never happen, but I ain't sorry. Feel me? Like, if I could go back, I'll go back. But I ain't sorry. Niggas die every day.
Even though Adam tried to frame it as historical significance, the interview drained whatever goodwill he had left in the community, and his IG explanation didn't help at all.
Okay, so I wanted to respond.
You know it's fucking cooked when he had to do an IG explanation.
About me interviewing Blogstar, Pop Smoke's killer. I didn't do that interview because I don't care. That's what a lot of people seem to think, is that Adam just doesn't give a f***. That's not the case at all. I did that interview because I thought that it was an important historical record of somebody who was involved in one of the most tragic, insane stories in rap history. I knew Pop Smoke. And I have nothing but respect for him, and definitely did not want to, enrage his friends or family. I actually wanted to do a piece of content that I thought they would be able to benefit from.
Still, Adam kept pushing, burning money on new shows and interviewing up-and-coming rappers, hoping to catch lightning in a bottle like he did with X back in the day. But he doesn't seem to understand that now the entire landscape of both content creation and music these days is a lot different. People simply aren't willing to take the chance in the way they were in that era. Instead, they wait for someone else to tell them it's cool before engaging. Meanwhile, Adam was busy rebranding himself as an adult performer alongside his wife Lena the Plug through their Explicit Plug Talk podcast. And things took a turn when he allowed Lena to branch out right around the same time Nojumper started falling apart. Soon, she was shooting scenes with Jason Love, a man who claimed he was providing superior service to her literal husband and father of her child.
Do you think that you her better than Adam did?
Well, obviously, yes. I'm pretty sure he probably felt different with Adam for her because love is involved emotions. But as for the physical aspect of it, obviously.
This initially sparked conflict between Jason and Adam, but considering she had collaborated with him several times since, it would suggest maybe there was something to what Jason said. From there, Adam began to embrace the image of King of All with his For the Love of Lena show, which, if you're not familiar, is a reality competition show about finding a suitable candidate to have relations with his wife. Naturally, this aspect of his behavior is never going to be received well in hip-hop's hyper-masculine culture. And combined with everything else, his reputation was basically crumbling into pieces. Even Lena clearly lost respect for him, as she began to talk down to him in public.
You're so helpless, so I'm not going to have you help me with something where I feel like it's going to take me double the work.
I have very limited
I told him the other day, it's like dating a 13-year-old boy, because he's like, can I stay home and play video games? I don't want to come. And then if he does come, he's on his phone in the corner the whole time. And I'm
like, when they get divorced and shit too.
Talk to people.
And after sacrificing so much, including his pride, it makes the fact that he's now in a financial hole hit even harder. How the fuck he going broke after selling his wife? Just when it seemed like things had hit their lowest point, it turned out that he still had plenty further to fall. By the beginning of this year, things were looking pretty dark for Nojumper. They might still have had 4 million subscribers, but the platform was devalued. Plus, fans had already been losing interest for a while, especially once it started feeling like Adam had mentally checked out and that the content took a nosedive in quality.
I have a question. If you live in SAC, is it expected that you pay additional attention to the ball sack when doing any kind of sack?
Wait, what?
Wait.
You from SAC?
Say that again?
Sacramento. Like if I was from Petersville, New Hampshire.
Oh my God.
And as social media turned against him, the ADAM22 name, which referenced his sexual assault allegations that became public in 2018, has become inescapable, particularly after he offended academics over his very dubious conduct with a 15-year-old.
Seen so much anticipation on Reddit because they're looking at this situation as a situation in which I need to disavow academics and his behavior in order to be, I guess, like morally cohesive. And from my perspective, even if I can say, yeah, like, all right, Act fucked up, Act should not have done that, he should be more mindful about how he's speaking, especially when there's a minor on the Discord call, whatever. But I'm not dying to just jump out the window. It's like there's so many people who want his spot. It's just the level of desperation to cancel people is so fucking lame to me.
And as always, there were concerns over the treatment of his co-workers that have stuck by him from even some of his most loyal audience members. A user on the r/Nojumper Reddit summed it up perfectly by saying he gave Lush a lot of grumpy energy and picked on him constantly. Just because you're not scared of Lush doesn't make it okay for you to just pick on him. Keep the same energy with Briccbaby. Lighten up. You're the one that's making this shit unbearable to listen to with your attitude. You aren't an expert podcaster. You have just done a lot with them. You're literally sitting around talking shit and you're lucky as fuck to even get paid for it. At this point, Adam's conduct at the helm of the channel seemed like a masterclass in what not to do. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he then decided to literally scam his fans. Out of nowhere, Adam got himself involved in a rug pull for a cuck coin on the Solana blockchain after announcing his involvement 30 minutes prior to the launch. As his market cap promptly swelled from 500K to 4 million, key investors pulled out and crashed the coin down to 100K value.
Anybody
in
who invested
essence,
in
the classic
Nojumper,
pump and dump strategy that has plagued the entire crypto
True.
world for years. This would look bad for anyone, but coming from a guy who used to speak out against these kinds of schemes, it looks even worse. Back in 2021, Adam was tweeting things like, "What's the difference between pushing crypto scams and selling your fans NFTs? Both are worthless digital junk that no one actually expects to gain value." By now, Adam's not exactly known for owning up to his mistakes, and sure enough, he played dumb like he had no clue what was happening.
I was scammed.
You were scammed?
Someone told me that they had a bag for me to promote a crypto token. I guess I didn't process initially that it was going to be perceived as like me starting a crypto token. When it was proposed to me, they told me Moneybag Yo just did this. He didn't have any significant amount of backlash. The Baby just did this. Here's a couple other rappers that are set to do this in the next couple days. I take the payment, then I look at the text that they want me to post, and I think that it was a little bit outside of the realm of what I should have posted. I think I should have made it more clear that this was merely a project that in my heart of hearts, as a non-crypto guy, I was excited about. I think I should have made it more clear that this was not something that I had created out of thin air. I also had no idea about any sort of nefarious intent. People are saying that this was a rug pull. I didn't know. I didn't realize that this was going to be the same type of thing that I've watched so many CoffeeZilla videos about.
But then came a run-in with the YouTube investigator CoffeeZilla, who came with receipts and turned the whole thing into an event. It's lame, and you're either gonna scam or get scammed, said CoffeeZilla in a screenshot of his Twitter DMs to Adam. How else am I gonna afford all the Galaxy gas? This was low even for him. But the desperation now makes more sense following his announcement that the whole company was going down the tubes after they overstretched themselves.
We expanded too much during COVID at just about the exact moment that our revenue streams all took.
The COVID shit was crazy. This nigga made a lot of money out there in that time.
Employees, and we bought a huge office building that cost us almost $4 million, thinking that the growth that we were experiencing during the pandemic was going to continue. And unfortunately, that did not happen. Our YouTube numbers, which had doubled or even tripled, gradually returned to normal. Our Snapchat and Facebook numbers, which had exploded during COVID, sometimes even hitting 6 figures a month, shrank by about 80% or more. Our Patreon, which was absolutely killing it for a year or two when we were doing uncensored, aka nude interviews with up-and-coming superstars like Kazumi and Sky Bree, fell off quite a bit with the launch of Plug Talk and a decreased interest in seeing us interview stars.
Courtesy of a series of major L's, including their Instagram account being taken down, Adam, who had previously acted like he was killing the content game, was now desperate for sponsors to come aboard.
After almost 10 years of building it up and essentially no strikes on our account, we got taken down one day and we still have absolutely no idea why. We've had no luck getting it back despite being in contact with what seems like every Instagram recovery guy on the face of the planet.
Man, this white boy
bringing in
crazy,
a very
man.
solid amount of cash monthly that was keeping us afloat via selling sponsored posts on the account. And that mostly vanished overnight. And while we've been growing the new Nojumper LA account up ever since and managing to sell sponsored collab posts using my Instagram and the Nojumper LA account, DM or email if interested.
This was teamed with a lawsuit from a former employee, which was causing a great deal of stress and financial strain for him and the company.
Now, essentially everything in this lawsuit is completely fictional, and every lawyer that I've spoken to about it has described this as basically an extortion attempt, but it's still cost us a ton of money already, and it's expected to cost us many hundreds of thousands of dollars to see this through to completion. It's insane to me that a person that we did so much for can just invent some grievances out of thin air and cost us this much money as a result. His streaming career is completely tanked, and he even got kicked off the podcast that he left Nojumper to start, but somehow that's our reality, and we have to fight this rather than just give in to this piece of shit.
The man in question is Harmonious Yearly, a former Nojumper host who also ended up falling out with Lil House Phone's biggest bro crew, sparking what's probably one of the only viral moments that channel's ever had.
You don't have the best reputation for being like a productive, person.
And you think that you getting live, you going live to 50 viewers and getting drunk every night is you being so productive?
Yep.
You are the most ass nigga I've ever met in my entire life. On God.
His argument is on the grounds of wrongful termination, with another former employee, Riley G, alleging sexual harassment.
90% of the shit in that lawsuit is bullshit. sexual harassment or unlawful termination or whatever lawsuit is only going to be able to address
that's the thing about having a motherfucking sex slave shop in the back, bitch.
The biggest Nojumper hater who was aware of what was going on at Nojumper while they were here.
There's not no massage parlor, bitch.
Any kind of disrespect, including going massively out of our way. Remember when big homie was liking our Instagram photos and shit? We basically like put it on the table, like if you're uncomfortable with anything that he's done around you, he's out of here. There was never any sort of documentation of her feeling uncomfortable in any way. There's no complaints. Nothing that was said.
Now facing a whole host of obstacles from fixing the platform, it remains to be seen whether it's going to be viable for it to keep existing in the way that it is. But what's telling about how far he and the company have plummeted is that there is little sympathy for what he's facing, even from long-term viewers. Bad character, bad business. I smell a move and rebrand from street gang members back to rappers. From a guy who has watched since 2015, this is so satisfying. In an attempt to combat everything, he's trying to minimize overheads by selling the Melrose store and warehouse. But he continues to insist that he personally has plenty of cash remaining, and it's just the company that's in trouble.
Am I personally
God don't like ugly, man.
I have a very successful business called Plug Talk. I also, not a big spender. I've got plenty of money that I've stashed away over the years. I put the money away. You know, I very much look forward to the day where I'm sick of doing content and I can just ride off into the sunset and not think about paying the bills.
However, some people think that the whole thing is an elaborate scam to evade the legal fees that are coming with the major fallout from the Big U scenario.
I made it 41 years into this life before I had involvement in conversation with federal agents. And when they showed up, I was wearing a red Nike Tech. Not exactly the definition of fresh, but I got a crazy update. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. 22ster has got a big update.
Even then, not everyone's buying that, with Charleston White suggesting it was all a publicity stunt for their faltering company.
WACK100 said that ADAM22 got arrested. Do you really feel like he got arrested? Because I feel like it's a publicity stunt.
No. I don't believe he got arrested. I believe the feds contacted him to come turn over some information. A lot of things that they probably have evidence and need evidence for sits in his video file from them niggas talk.
Whatever's the case, Adam's enemies relished it like kids at Christmas, most notably Joe Budden.
Our good brother ADAM22 recently put out a video. He put out a video recently talking about the state of Nojumper. We had ADAM22 on our show at Parks's. We pressed him a little bit, got a lot of backlash from the audience, left it alone. Time will tell. God don't play about me.
That's a fact.
These fall flat on concrete every time. It never fails. I want to talk about all of the Adam cheerleaders that had their pom-poms out a few years ago telling me about all the money that Adam made.
In the aftermath, he went on a whole campaign of gloating.
I'd like to play it for y'all.
Somebody sent me a clip of Joe Budden claiming that Nojumper's doing real bad in terms of our views and everything. So let's do the science. Nojumper's main channel plus our clips channel has done about 27 million views for the past month. 2 times by far what you have going on. And on top of that, we kill it on Facebook. We kill it.
He did all that. Dirty BMX white boy. Let me tell you, like I tell my 50-year-old black friends, once Facebook enters the conversation, I'm leaving. Check out.
That's from Mom and Dad.
Overall, Adam's now getting hit with a whole host of hindsight from people who were once close to him, including WACK100. On a recent episode of their always chaotic show, WACK claimed that he had already told Adam about the exact YouTube members model that he's now scrambling to use to save the company.
When I first came in here, in my head, I'm like, shit, we're going to make way more money if we got a subscription-based platform. But you shot it down, and we were fresh in our build. I didn't want you to feel like I was trying to press you to do something you don't want to do. I let it go.
But this wasn't met with enthusiasm from viewers. Instead, it was seen as just another ploy to exploit the audience, just as he exploited the culture. Business meetings on air about extracting more money from fans for no additional value. Nice. But it's not just the company funds running out that Adam has had to deal with. There's also the fact that Briccbaby's indictment and the feds hinting that they used the show to gather evidence has given Nojumper such a bad rep that guests now actively avoid talking about street drama on the podcast. Just look at how Lil Rai subtly told his friend to stop speaking on things that potentially caused issues for them.
If you rap really good and you get really popular, then maybe Trump will pardon you for future crimes if they do happen to happen. I mean, he's done it. He's got a few rappers out. Boosie seems like he really feels like Donald Trump is going to help him get out of his Fed case.
Boosie got a Fed case on him?
Yeah, Boosie got caught like felon in possession of a firearm.
I thought he
beat it on a state level, and then the feds picked it up right away, which is actually insane that they could do that.
I mean, that's what they usually do, though.
Or when Adam asked X4 a question about putting in work in the streets for his gang, only to be given the silent treatment.
I saw this video that alleged that it was you involved in this crazy-ass shootout. What was that situation?
Then you're trying to say that he told him to do that on purpose.
And rather than fold to the awkwardness, X4 kept it so stone-faced that it actually kept Adam lost for words.
Maybe it might not have been you. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't think it was me.
Okay. But that wasn't related to any of the cases that you caught? Well played. Okay. So... It's kind of hard to pick another question after that.
As if all this wasn't damning enough, another thing that won't rehabilitate his relationship as a Fed information pipeline is that other cast members are essentially flinging Briccbaby under the bus now that he's in the pen.
Yeah. Do you believe Briccbaby is capable of doing those things?
Again, man.
Have you ever seen him be anything other than nice to you?
Listen, Brick has always been good to me. But, again, if his baby mama is on a wiretap...
Baby mamas are crazy. Baby mamas be saying the crazy stuff because they know.
Yeah, but not her, though, bro. She's a nice...
That this is what it is. Whatever's on paper is what's on paper, and nothing else matters.
Look.
Now, who in their right mind would want to be in that environment? With guests likely to think twice and the public perception of the Nojumper brand at an all-time low, Adam has now resorted to the influencer equivalent of begging on X. After putting out a post saying, "If you become a YouTube member for $5 a month, send me a screenshot and I'll open your DM on here and respond for life." For Adam, this must be really painful. At one point, he was viewed as among the biggest players in hip-hop that people flock to every month. But now, due to a string of terrible behavior and awful decisions from him about the direction of the channel, people aren't just willing to let it pass on. They are actively reveling in his misery. Damn. OnlyFans money must be drying up. No one wants to save your shitty podcast. Whatever happens next, it's gonna take every ounce of Adam's business sense to keep his brand alive. Because right now, he's facing a massive uphill battle just to have anything left worth saving. It's your boy Luce, and I want to thank you all for watching today's video.
Man, you broke that down nicely, man. You chopped that shit up.
Peace.
Like a brick, man. Alright, we back. Now, can anybody see this coming, man? Let's be honest, man. I feel like ADAM22 make bozo errors. I think he go off his feelings. You get what I'm saying? Like, ADAM22 is not technical. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why a lot of these rappers, you know what I'm saying, don't really like ADAM22. Because it's like, you try to play in niggas' faces. You get what I'm saying? You don't take accountability for nothing. You get what I'm saying? And then you set niggas up. They either get taken out, or they in prison, or they overdose. You get what I'm saying? It's just like, we see a lot of what Adam has become. You know what I'm saying? Since he first began. You know what I'm saying? I feel like ADAM22 tried to switch his lane into the gang rapper territory, which, you know what I'm saying, is smart at the end of the day, because, you know, that shit gonna make way more money on than fucking bike shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. But I feel like ADAM22, he tried to play he was a slave master. You know what I'm saying? He tried to play like he was just running these niggas, like he was the leader of the gang. Which we see what happens with Big U, but he ain't taking accountability of none of that shit. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, it kind of to be expected, half this shit, man. Luce Cannon, they crashed out. They took a chance on the white man. and you see, man, I tell y'all niggas, don't be no fool, man. But hey, man, we out this bitch. I hope y'all enjoy this bitch. I mean, yeah, gang, hood, and outside. Big Crip and Dango, outside.
Hey, Dad, you know, dog, when we link up, dog, this shit be legendary. You know this instrumental, you the engineer on it, so Kodak everywhere.